Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is internationally syndicated solely due to the love and support that you all continue to give. We're available across all major distributors, and as long as you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in, because on the line with us today, we have the impressive Jonni L. Pettit. And we're going to be discussing her amazing memoir, One Thing After Another, and then a life-saving transition. Available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. But if you want to gather everything that Jonni has in store, check out her personal site, JonniPettit.com. There, you're going to gather more information on her book, hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. I'm telling you, it truly is a one-stop shop for it all. Again, that's JonniPettit.com. And I quickly want to point out the fact that Jonni was brought to our network by one of the best firms in the business, people you already know, talking about Citi of Books. So for my writers out there who have gone through their process and now you need help moving that masterpiece you just developed, well, look no further than Citi of Books, people, because they're one of the best movers in the business. Head on over to citiofbooks.com and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have Jonni here on the line. People, trust me when I tell you, we are about to embark upon a whirlwind journey through a life less ordinary than most. I'll tell you, the memoir is equal parts hilarious, heart-stopping, and even heartwarming at times. From daring escapades to deeply personal moments, Jonni has done something special by sharing the unforgettable adventures that have shaped her extraordinary life. And, some lessons that she's been able to pick up along the way. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to want to strap in for this one. And by the time we've concluded, you're going to realize that this is one you want to add to your shelf. Now sit back and let's get started. Jonni, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you. I'm tickled to be here.
Well, listen, we're looking forward to talking to you, Jonni. From all the research that we've done, you have led quite an extraordinary life, man. I mean, this is something that's unique and unlike any other memoir. Let's jump right in. One thing after another, and then a life-saving transition. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
Well, the book is really about, as you said, experiences that not many readers have experienced. And so I want to bring them with me. I don't want to tell them about the story. I want them to be part of the story. And if they can feel like they're the one that's living it, I'm the happiest writer in the world. So the book goes from a coronation with a difference to a wartime to sailing. There's happiness and unhappiness, pirates and machine guns and near-death experiences. But there's also a lot of laughs. And goodness knows that's what we all need. No matter what's happening, we need to come out of it with a positive attitude and the ability to laugh at some of it.
Well, listen, laughter is the best medicine, right? Jonni, I'm right there with you. And, that's a great point that I want to bring up, because I know that your book spans a wide range of emotions. Like you said, from funny to frightening to sad to even silly at times. Well, when you were creating this and piecing it all together, how did you make sure to balance it all so that it still had a very cohesive narrative?
Well, that's part of learning how to write, I suppose. But because everything, I could have just made it one chapter after another about each little thing that happened. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted to have the flow of the story go from one thing after another. And each of the things that did happen as part of the story, as opposed to, well, I'm going to write to you about this, or I'm going to write to you about just that. So it really is following me basically from marriage until we retired. And so that's the kind of thing that we did. And being an Air Force kid and an Air Force wife, I think I've been in every state. I think I've seen most of the national parks. I've been through Canada. We just try to do as much as we can to keep life interesting and to be a part of what's going on.
I mean, listen, even that, without going any further, that is a great message right there to be pulled from, right? Is living every day to the fullest and really embracing life. And I think so often we get bogged down by the pressures of life. We're stuck on that hamster wheel, running from one thing to the next, that oftentimes we don't get to fully experience things. So even if we were to end right here, that is a great message that we can all take from it.
Everyone thinks each day is an adventure. Then they can look toward getting up in the morning, and they can look toward going through whatever it is they're going to go through. So that's the thing I think is the most important, to look at your life as an adventure and to be present in each day.
Love that. Well, transitioning now, Jonni, of all the adventures that you've had, which one do you look back on and think, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that? Is there any one that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, goodness, there's a whole bunch of them. But some of them happened before I even wrote the book. So, I can say, huddling in a ditch when a tornado went over me while I covered up two little kids.
Wow.
Was pretty exciting. So that's one thing. I mean, but I didn't put that one in the book. I also didn't put one about a fellow employee who turned a corner just as I was coming around that corner, and he had a pair of scissors in his hand. Guess what? I lost a whole bunch of teeth.
Oh, my goodness.
So when I say I've had unusual adventures, that kind of gives you an example of how these kinds of things just kind of seem to happen to me. Mm-hmm. And so when I started to write the book, I wanted to put, let's start when you were grown up, and let's start when you were starting an adventure with your spouse. And so that's what I did. So it really starts there. And so when I say we're an adventurous couple, and of course we had our daughter with us. She was an 8th grader when we were sailing, and so some of the things that happened were doubly scary or doubly wonderful because we had our daughter to experience it with us. She was doing correspondence school, and so it enhances it if you have other people to share with you, and That's why I wanted to write the book. I wanted other people to share it with me.
That's incredible. Well, Jonni, my next question here is about reliving some of those experiences. Now, clearly, the one that you just showcased to us with the scissors and you losing teeth, you probably don't want to relive that one. But other ones, if you had the opportunity here, Jonni, to go back and relive them, which one would you do and why?
Well, I think one that was kind of strange, but and exciting. We were out to dinner in Nassau, and we were in a nice hotel, and our boat was anchored, and everything was wonderful. And then a cruise ship came in, and it ran aground. Now, that's not unusual, but the darn thing decided to turn on all its engines and try to back off, and it sucked all the boats toward them. So we ended up leaving our table, jumping in the water, swimming out to our boat, and trying to keep it from being eaten by the cruise ship, literally. So
goodness.
I don't think many people have to do that, nor did we want to get sucked into their propellers either. So that was one, and of course our daughter was with us. So fortunately, we said stay on the shore, and off we went to save the boat. But it's hard to sort out exactly what the most exciting thing is that happens because there are too many of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jonni, you've lived probably enough for multiple lifetimes, given some of the experiences that you've showcased. And I'm still hung up on the first one that you said where a tornado went over. That is something incredible to even be involved in a situation where that, and listen, I've never lived in the Midwest or in any area that could be affected by tornadoes. And that's always been a massive fear of mine. So I stay away, but that is absolutely incredible. And that's not even in the book, people.
No. Well, I'm going to tell you the end of that story, and that is 20 years later, I'm at a local mall where I'm living, and a young lady starts following me, and she's pushing a stroller. And I go in the store, and I come out, and she's still at the door. And then I go to the next shop, and I do the same thing. I come out, and I see her standing at the door. I finally turned around and said, "You seem to be following me. Is there something I can help you with?" And she said, "Did you used to be a babysitter when you were a kid?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You saved my life." And I said, "I don't remember saving anyone's life." And she said, "I was the 2-year-old that you covered up in that ditch."
That is absolutely incredible. You know, it reminds me of it. We don't know how far the ripples of our decisions go. And the impact that you left on this young lady's life. And what, I mean, you saved her life. Because who knows what would have happened if you weren't there to partake in that. And that is absolutely astounding. And people, like I said, that one isn't even part of the book. So imagine if that's left in the drawing board floor, imagine what you're going to embark upon when you pick it up. Again, it's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's JonniPettit.com. Head on over there, pick up your copies of One Thing After Another, and then A Life-Saving Transition. This is one that's going to have you looking at your life and just absolutely astounded by what you could do and the potential that you could have when you start to really step outside of your box and go on some adventures of your own. Because I'm telling you, man, this thing is going to leave you inspired to do just that. Jonni, as we start to transition here, my last couple of questions, what are you hoping your readers take from your book upon completing it?
Well, I think resilience is one, and stick-to-itiveness, and to look, and as I said before, to look to your life as an adventure instead of dreary and, today I just have to, I have to wash the dishes and I have to do all of this other stuff. But your life is an adventure, and everyone has a unique life, and everyone could write their life story because they've done things that are amazing. Yeah. It's just that they didn't feel like they were amazing, perhaps, but they were. And I think that's push on with whatever your life is doing for you and keep going. And I hope the book stands as a example of, okay, so your husband's plane went missing. Well, okay, now what do you do? Well, obviously he came back because we're still married 58 years later. So, but now, see, I gave away part of the story. But those kinds of things happen. And you just have to say, well, darn, or worse than that, and go on. You just, that's the whole point of the story. And when it's funny, then you can really laugh at it. Yeah. It's funny when a shark is chasing you. And I was sitting in my boat, and my husband was diving, not scuba diving, but free diving down to get a fish. And a shark started chasing him. And I'm up in the boat, to be there, and I'm banging on the water with the paddle. And the shark is getting closer, and he's swimming as fast as he possibly can. He was going so fast that he actually lifted out of the water, and with his slippers, it looked like he was walking on water. Well, running on water. But and he jumped in the boat just as the shark's teeth closed on his slipper, and it missed it. I can't even tell you how close it was. It was a hair's breadth between his slipper and the shark. So there are really, really funny things that happen, and you can only sit back and say, okay, I was scared to death right up until the minute you jumped in the boat and the shark missed you. Right. Now I can laugh about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's one of those things where in the moment, not so funny, but once everybody's made it through and we're okay, we got all 10 fingers and all 10 toes, now we can have a bit of a laugh and bring some levity to it. But, I think there's a great point in what you've just said in terms of, again, getting back to the notion of living your life to the fullest. And then also you were talking about encouraging others to document their lives, right? And to create their memoir, to write their memoir. And I think that's a great point to bring up because people, listen, let's call a spade, right? Not everybody gets to be written about in the history books. But just because your story doesn't get told in the history books doesn't mean it's not deemed worthy of being written about. Sometimes you got to take the initiative yourself, put it down on the page, and just put that sucker out there. And you have it within yourself to make sure that it gets done. And I love those words of encouragement because I truly feel, and that, it kind of coincides with our notion here in terms of people of distinction. We firmly believe that everyone has a unique and a distinct story to tell. And we love being able to utilize our platform as a microphone to do just that. And people, if you take nothing else from this interview, but please believe me, you should take a lot from this interview. But if you take nothing else, that is something you could take with you to the bank, man. I love it. Jonni, as we close out, and you've offered so many fantastic pieces of wisdom here. Well, for someone that has gone through so many different experiences, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't ask this follow-up question to really close out. Looking back at your life now, what do you think is the most valuable gift that these experiences have given you?
Well, resilience, of course,
Yeah.
obviously, and a sense of humor. God bless humor. There's no question. If you can't look back at the trying things in your life, then what are you going to do? You're going to be remorseful, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to hate your life. I look back and say, that was a really scary thing, or that was a really wonderful thing, and I just went on after that, and look for the next wonderful thing, and look for the next wonderful thing, and that's what you want to do with your life. That's what I hope everybody does with their life.
Listen, man, that is the message here, people. Adventure awaits. You got to get out there and experience it.
I promise them a lot of laughs. I promise them a lot of adventures, and I hope they come along with me and enjoy the story.
Jonni, listen, if they don't embark upon this journey with you, they're clearly asleep. All right. Something needs to happen where they need to wake up and utilize your book as the catalyst that it is. Because I promise you, people, whether you categorize yourself as a thrill seeker, a dreamer, or just love a good story, this book is for you, man. It's going to help you embrace your own unique path. And that's why you got to pick up copies one last time. It's called One Thing After Another, and then a life-saving transition. And I promise you, once you start reading her book, you're going to realize, man, it really is just one thing after another. My goodness. Jonni L. Pettit is a name to be reckoned with, and it's one to remember. Head on over there today, pick up your copies, and get lost in this amazing book. Jonni, this has been a true pleasure. I really do mean that. An absolute delight. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you.